Hey guys, Brian Barrera here again. This is part two. This is video two of part two. This is where we're going after the Oscars and the Academy Awards and about recognizing the right people, giving credit when it's due, not when it's too late. Because then, like, we don't give the accolades that we should rightfully give to the people that deserve it because we're too worried about what other people are going to think, or we want to give legacy awards, which should have its own place, but it shouldn't be when you're supposed to give the credit when it's due. It's not. And just same thing, employee of the month, employee of the year. I'm a strong believer that when you give that award to somebody, it should be someone that deserves it. And if that person keeps getting it, switch it to another department, right? Highlight another department. But overall, it should be that. It should be that person that wins that really deserves it. And that should be the standard of excellence, right? So yeah, so I left off on Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, born on the 4th of July in 1980. Daniel Davis won. I'm sorry, 1990. Daniel Day-Lewis won for My Left Foot. Great film. I'm not going to argue with you, but I feel that Tom Cruise should have won for Born on the 4th of July. That should have been his second Academy Award. One of the things I saw in Tom Cruise's biography is that he likes to work with the toughest directors because they challenge him. Rain Man, I believe, was Barry Levinson. Born on the 4th of July was Oliver Stone. Kenneth Branagh, Morgan Freeman. I was surprised how many times Morgan Freeman's been nominated. Morgan Freeman's been nominated for years, and I think he's only won once or twice. And it sucks because the one movie that he won for, I don't think he should have won for, which is Million Dollar Baby that we'll go over later. But yeah, Shawshank Redemption, Glory, all these movies that he's been nominated for, amazing stuff. Robin Williams. But yeah, so then we jump into 1990. Let's stay on 1990. Best Director. Oliver Stone rightfully won. Can you believe that Spike Lee, for Do the Right Thing, one of the greatest movies of all time, Do the Right Thing, he wasn't even nominated. Do the Right Thing wasn't even nominated, guys. I mean, that movie's classic. There's racial tension at the heat of it, where it should be talked about. There's there's the Jordan versus Larry Bird debate, where the Celtics fan who lives in Brooklyn steps on Spike Lee's shoe, or whose shoe was it? Giancarlo Esposito, I believe, or Martin Lawrence. He stepped on one of their shoes, but such a great film. And then, like I said, the racial tension between one group and the other, between the Italians and the pizzeria and the family owned, it's just such a great film. It just makes that tension into just a masterpiece, in my opinion. It's a great film. I grew up watching that film. It's just an incredible piece of work, and he wasn't even nominated for it. He wasn't even nominated for best director. That's why I put an asterisk on there. And I don't think he should have won because Born on the 4th of July is an incredible film, but at least he should have been nominated. And that's why I put an asterisk there. 1991, Dances with Wolves won. If you argue with me that Dances with Wolves should have won, great film. Um, I didn't like the ending because it just ended abruptly. That's my opinion. But yeah, if you argue with me, I'm not going to argue. You should have won. But Martin Scorsese with Goodfellas, such an incredible film. I believe that should have been his second Academy Award. But once again, if you argue with me, Kevin Costner, Dances with Wolves, I'm not going to argue with you. Such a beautiful film. But once again, I see, we talk about the greatest movies of the 90s, the greatest movies of the 80s, and Dances with Wolves doesn't get on those lists that I see, but Goodfellas does. So was it ahead of its time? Possibly. 1992, big controversy here. In my opinion, Anthony Hopkins wins for Silence of the Lambs. He was in the movie for 10 minutes. Incredible role, great role, but I don't understand why he wasn't Best Supporting Actor. I think he should have been Best Supporting Actor. Robert De Niro, I think, also could have won for his role in Cape Fear. He brings chaos to a whole nother level, but it was also a remake. So, in my opinion, remakes kind of get a little bit farther down the list because they have something to build on already. And then, in my opinion, it should have been Val Kilmer for The Doors. Val Kilmer should have won that year for The Doors. He lost himself in that role, just like Jamie Foxx lost himself as Ray. Val Kilmer lost himself as Jim Morrison. And Val Kilmer should also, he wasn't even nominated for that award. He wasn't even nominated for Best Actor. Val Kilmer, The Doors, he should have won that year, should have been nominated, and he should have won. 1993, Al Pacino finally wins for Scent of a Woman. I'm not the biggest Al Pacino fan because I think he overacts a lot. I think he has great charisma. I loved him in The Devil's Advocate. I loved him in The Godfather, but I just think he overacts a little bit too much for my taste. But another one for Spike Lee. He wasn't. He was nominated for Best Director, I believe, but I just can't believe Denzel Washington did not win for Malcolm X. Like I know Robert Downey Jr. played Chaplin. I know Clint Eastwood, he played Unforgiven, and I know Stephen Rea was in The Crying Game. But Denzel Washington is Malcolm X. Malcolm X to me is one of the most underrated movies I've ever seen in my life. It's a masterpiece. It's incredible. It's just such a great film. How it starts off with Malcolm X's upbringing, then it gets into him in prison, and then it gets into him as a political leader. Um, I just cannot believe Malcolm X didn't get more recognition. I just can't believe it. That should have been his second award. He should have won already for Glory. Then Malcolm X would have been second, and then Training Day would have been number three. So I believe that Denzel should have three Academy Awards. Um, but yeah, I just can't believe he did not win for Malcolm X. I can't believe Spike Lee did not win for Malcolm X. Then there's we're gonna stay with 1993. Once again, Spike Lee right here for Malcolm X. I don't believe he was even nominated for Malcolm X. But I think, like I said, I don't think the first time Spike Lee was nominated, I don't think he should have won. I think it should have been Oliver Stone. But Spike Lee for Malcolm X should have won that year. I love Clint Eastwood. I love Unforgiven. It's a movie that I watch constantly. It's such a great film. It's a classic, but Malcolm X is a masterpiece, man. That was his best work. Do the Right Thing's also a classic, a masterpiece in my opinion. Unforgiven, but there's been a lot of westerns, a lot of spaghetti westerns, where Clint Eastwood, in my opinion, plays the same character. I don't think Clint Eastwood should have won that year. Once again, are you getting a trend like when we talk about the best director, we talk about Academy Awards. Who's won the most Academy Awards? Best actor, most Academy Awards. If you ask actors the way in my first video you asked basketball players who the greatest was, the actors nowadays, if you ask them what they watch the SAG Awards, the Screen Actors Guild. They don't always watch the Academy Awards or even the Golden Globes, but they watch the Screen Actors Guild. That's what they go by. That's like the main one now that they feel truly picks the winners, right? But Spike for Malcolm X, not even nominated, and I think that he by a landslide should have won that year. Rob Reiner for A Few Good Men, great film as well. Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson's great line. And 1993 to me was a bad year because there was so much competition. 93, 94, 95. Another one in 93 was Gene Hackman, one for Unforgiven. He's such a great actor, incredible actor. I think Morgan Freeman actually played a little bit better in Unforgiven than Gene Hackman did. But the main person that year, 1993, Al Pacino was nominated for Dick Tracy, which is okay because he did a great job. He was hilarious. But Val Kilmer wasn't even nominated for Tombstone. He wasn't even nominated. I know that movie is probably the most cliche movie of all time. And just like I'm about to get into a couple minutes. I know it's cliche, but Val Kilmer in Tombstone as Doc Holliday. If you read about who they choose to win Best Actor, their criteria, their matrix, they talk about transformation. Did you transform yourself into this role? Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday completely lost himself. He has so many one-liners. When you talk to people today, and I have, who do you think? What do you think the greatest movie is? I would say probably 2 out of 10 people will say Tombstone. I know that because I know two people already that are going to say Tombstone. Tombstone. And they think that Val Kilmer stole the movie. Best. That movie is just incredible. Kurt Russell, Michael Biehn, Powers Booth as Curly Bill. Such a great film. Very cliche, a lot of cliches, but Val Kilmer, Doc Holliday should have 2 Academy Awards at that time. Now we're going to jump into something really, really cool. Angela Bassett. I'm a big Angela Bassett fan. I just saw her in Mission Impossible, the new Tom Cruise movie. I loved her in Black Panther. She's just always there. But if you look at her run in the 90s, Angela Bassett, Angela Bassett, what's love got to do with it? She was nominated, didn't win. As Tina Turner. Incredible. Angela Bassett won Raw and Uncut. I made a mistake here. Angela Bassett won. I didn't write down what her performance was for. There's Waiting to Exhale. There is What's Love Got to Do with It. There's How Stella Got Her. Oh, Malcolm X. Malcolm X. So she wasn't even nominated in 1993 for Malcolm X. Once again, there's Spike Lee. There's Spike Lee wasn't nominated. Angela Bassett wasn't nominated. And Denzel, in my opinion, should have won for Best Actor. Look in 1993, 4 different categories. I read an article, Marissa Tomei, such a beautiful person, great actress. They said in that movie, though, they said for that year, I read a couple articles that it was a year where it was completely up for grabs. And Angela Bassett, equally beautiful, incredible actress, does a great job, has the hype going on, right? What's Love Got to Do with It the following year when we get into more. But Angela Bassett doesn't even get nominated for Malcolm X. And in my opinion, she should have won for Best Supporting Actress. The next year, What's Love Got to Do with It? Should have been her second Academy Award. She gets nominated. Incredible performance. Lawrence Fishburne is incredible in that movie, but she doesn't win. Instead, it's Holly Hunter in The Piano. The Piano is a great film. I believe Harvey Keitel's in there as well. Great actor. Great. But man, Angela Bassett just completely lost herself as Tina Turner. And once again, we talk about transformation, but I believe the Academy Awards does a lot of moving the post. They move the post, right? They move it because oh yeah, we want things this way, but when they don't follow that, they move the post, right? They move the goal line somewhere else. They create their little I don't know. They just don't follow what they say that they're all about. Angela Bassett lost herself in that role. So did Holly Hunter. But just what's love got to do with it? If I ask 10 people in the street right now, have you seen The Piano? They're gonna say no. But most of them have seen What's Love Got to Do with It. Now we jump into the biggest debate for me. It's 1995. Um, there's there's it's just about Forrest Gump and Pulp Fiction. Morgan Freeman's incredible. The Shawshank Redemption. Frank Darabont, Tim Robbins. The Madness of King George with Nigel Hawthorne, Nobody's Fool with Paul Newman, Bruce Willis was in Nobody's Fool, great performance. I just think the Academy got it wrong. If you argue with me that Tom Hanks for Forrest Gump and Robert Zemeckis for Best Director, I'm not going to argue with you. But man, Pulp Fiction, I just saw this movie again the other night. It's just such a great film. Travolta's so good in it. And did you know that John Travolta was actually Forrest Gump was written for John Travolta. Forrest Gump was written for John Travolta. So that year, how bad of a year for that? He does his most incredible performance ever in Pulp Fiction. Well, I think second. I think Saturday Night Fever is his first. His second greatest performance ever in Pulp Fiction. Vincent Vega, the brother of Vic Vega from Reservoir Dogs, Michael Madsen. That's the Quentin Tarantino universe. They write the role for him, and he doesn't take it, but he loses to Tom Hanks. Do I think Travolta could have done Forrest Gump as well as Tom Hanks? I think he would have done his own version of Forrest Gump. I think Travolta's charismatic enough where he would have done his own version of it. Could it have been as good as Tom Hanks? I don't know. We're never going to see it, but I think he would have done his own version of it. But I think Pulp Fiction should have definitely took that award. I think Pulp Fiction should have won for Best Director. And I know you guys are probably saying right now, well, Brian, looks like you like crime thrillers, and the Academy doesn't like genre-specific films. I don't care. Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction should have won Best Director. John Travolta should have won Best Actor, in my opinion. And it was a slap in the face for John to have the role written for him win Best Actor by Tom Hanks. Plus, it was the second year in a row that Tom Hanks won. He won the year before for Philadelphia, which he should have won. And I just think that he didn't have to win the second year. I think he could have won Travolta. Now, that's the thing, though. That's my opinion. I think Pulp Fiction was a better overall film, one of the greatest of all time, compared to Forrest Gump. Then the next year, 1996. There's three for 1996. It's Heat. Heat was not nominated for a single Academy Award. John Travolta was not nominated for Get Shorty. The Hugh brothers, who are great, great directors. I think they also directed From Hell with Johnny Depp. Great film. But the Hughes brothers for Dead Presidents wasn't even nominated for anything. Such a great Vietnam War film. Incredible. John Travolta, Get Shorty. Charismatic to the max. Wasn't even nominated. Lorenz Tate, who was in Dead Presidents, amazing performance of a father, making the wrong decisions, being at the wrong place being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Michael Mann in Heat, De Niro in Heat. I've asked people, what do you think the greatest performance ever was, and they'll tell me Robert De Niro in Heat. Wasn't even nominated. Such a great film. The way he acts in there, the way he goes after Waingro, and then with his relationship with Amy Brenneman, and just the way he acts in that film, he completely outclasses Al Pacino. Al Pacino overacts in that movie so bad. Just like Tombstone, it's a very cliche-driven movie, but De Niro and Michael Mann's cool direction, Val Kilmer, the bit players, the Tom Sizemore, the Dennis Haysberts, the Ashley Judds, they make it into such a great, great film, a 3-hour film that feels like it's an hour and a half. The ending is amazing. I love that scene where John Voight is talking to De Niro about being the best and saying you need to watch out from Pacino because he's a knight. He's a night walker. He's a night stalker or whatever. Like he's out there all the time, just walking around, seeing if everything's okay or finding out what's going on. And he tells De Niro, "This guy can miss. You can't. This guy can miss 5 times. You can't miss one." And if you follow the whole movie, De Niro's so perfect in the movie, and he finally makes that crucial mistake when he goes back to murder Waingro in the film, and you finally realize, oh man, he made the mistake. He's done. He couldn't make one, and you kind of know what the outcome's going to be. But yeah, I believe.